من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. We are discussing evolution, and within evolution, after cosmic evolution, we had started discussion on human evolution. In order to recapitulate from the last, I'll just mention these two slides, that what he had said at the end. Dr. Noor Baki, he is of the view that the reference to the seven heavens shows that these are segregated strata. For example, the science calls it membranes, but he calls it strata, and he says that since these are seven mentioned separately, these are segregated. And these seven heavens are supported and held in existence in sequence, seriatim, by field tension. This is his view, Dr. Nurbaki, and this is, in my view, the closest to the scientific explanations when we look at different theories. For example, one of the present theories, the latest theories, the theory of strings. Harun Yahya attributes similarity of atom with 7 electron shells around its nucleus, that the galaxies or the seven heavens, heaven is a much bigger thing than the galaxy, but I'm just giving an example that right from the electron to the solar systems to the galaxies and then the seven heavens are arranged serially in different levels, like the seven electron shells, orbits of the electron of the within the atom, seven orbits of the electrons around its nucleus, a seven-folded model of universe. It's a seven-folded model of universe, and such a big universe has been modeled in such a way that the earth is referred as singular and the heavens as plural. The reason being that wherever the observer stands, that is his earth. If the observer is standing on the earth, our planet, then it is his earth. But if the observer is standing at the moon, that is his earth. So it is such a model that is seven-folded model of the universe in which seven heavens are orbiting. Everything is in motion serially in seven orbits of the entire universe, one above the other, and and the reference to the earth is the reference to the observer. This was the last discussion where we had left the discussion. And we find some pointations in the Quran as seven heavens, earth, as I mentioned. Then we will find as we go, we proceed further, that there are pointations in the Quran. These are not exact translations. Science is a theory, and here we are referring to the eternal facts which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, not exactly the translation. Along with this information, the statements in the Quran follow that forces and energies, malaika, in the universe are all busy in pursuing good with Allah's compassion, which has usually been translated by people that they are doing istighfar for the creation. They are all busy working according to the program which has been installed in them. They are programmed and they all are working with the compassion of Allah for the protection of the universe. All their movements are synced in synchronization, that they are protecting, keeping this universe protected as one unit, and then in harmony, and ultimately to the benefit of life, those who live on this earth, and mainly when we are discussing with reference to the human beings. Angels live, the angels work for protection for all beings on earth. This is in inverted commas a sort of reference, delicately balanced by the multitude of forces. He says that these are balancedly delicate, these are delicately balanced by the multitude of forces, and Nur Baki calls it that they are held in balance by the field tension. And last time also I referred to one piece of the ayat that takadu tamayyaz min al-ghaiz, they are held in with such a great tension, imbalance, that as if there is even a slightest change, if there was a slightest mistake, for example, error in the beginning or even now, then the entire system can collapse. It is such precisely behusbanan, calculated, that in spite of all these motions taking place, different motions taking place at the same time, they are all balanced. They don't go out of sync. Now, this is the explanation of Ratkan. Ratkan and Fatak, they explain the Big Bang. Our people hurriedly, like the Christians, they hurriedly accepted the Big Bang theory, and they tried to translate exactly in the terminology of the Big Bang, of the scientists. But actually, now they have been changing their theories, and at this time, what they say is that the forces were peeled off. But this meaning is available in this word of Ratkan. Ratkan means the separate parts are closed and joined together imperviously, united together in one solid mass, and that is sewn together. These are sewn together so that they are stitched together. And when these forces were released, these layers, they were released layer by layer. They were piece by force, gravitons, electrons, they were released in seriatim. Then Fatak, it is the opposite of Ratak. Ratkan for Fatakna. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they were all joined together in this manner, which is in the root. The root meaning is available in the root, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we peeled them off. Harun Yahya translated as to unstitch. He translates fatak to unstitch because it is the opposite of stitch together. This is stitched together. He has translated this as they were unstitched. Separate two things joined together, they were split, cleave asunder, slit, or rent asunder, they were ripped like the garment. So they were ultimately, when we find the closest word, is that they were unstitched, layer by layer, thread by thread, like a garment. We'll see that in my view, the closest translation in this respect is from Arthur J. Arbery. That also I will quote. This refers to separation process, that is fatak, of the primary single mass, that is singularity, whose elements were initially fused together, ratak. This I have tried to explain that this is the crux of the matter, ratkan fafataknahuma. Big Bang theory postulates, it's a theorem, that all matter and radiation forces. Radiation, what is for radiation? Radiation is energy. Jinn was created Jinn means all those creatures which we cannot see. They are physical. They have physical properties. They have material properties. Energy is also matter, but they were created at this stage when they were radiation. These are the first creatures. We cannot see them. Matter and radiation in the universe came into being and was released from the singularity at one moment of time. This is very important to understand. And the Quran uses the word Sa'at. And when this word will be finished, for that also the Quran is using the word Sa'at. Nobody knows the Sa'at. Even the Prophet doesn't know the Sa'at. Allah knows the Sa'at. It is just a matter of a moment for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe the trillionth multiplied by trillionth multiplied by trillionth multiplied by trillionth of a second. That is the measure of the Saat, maybe. And that in that Saat, the universe will collapse. It will be a big crunch. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word that it will be wound up, natvi. Quran uses the word wound up. And when it was unwound, that was fatak. In one, as one piece, in one moment. In Surah Ar-Rahman, you had seen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that I had raised the canopy of all these galaxies and the stars in one pull. When you raise a tent, you raise it from the center as one piece. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the terminology in Surah Ar-Rahman, which shows that this entire mass of globes, when in these two first days, when the nebula was separated, it became globes within 2 days. It was pulled up and placed in their positions where further processes took place. But all this was done momentarily, in a moment, in a saat, and in one piece. In such a with such a force that we cannot even imagine, we cannot calculate. This enormous universe being pulled in one saat, in one piece, and everything placed in its place according to the map, according to the design. We cannot imagine the powers of God. Even we cannot perceive everything. This was done about 15 billion years ago. Some say it was 13.8 billion years, 14 billion years, but generally, roughly, people say it was 15 billion years ago at immense speed and expansion that universe began. This is the beginning story of the Big Bang Ratkan. This is the story of Ratkan, which was Fatak. Fatakna, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. When this was done, they were all globes. Now these globes were then formed into constellations, into systems. All those globes were then formed into systems, into galaxies, and within the galaxies as systems, constellations, as solar systems. Now that took place. Sun and solar system, for example, were formed about 10 billion years after the Big Bang. After that thought, the scientists postulate, these are theories, that it took 10 billion years to form the present galaxies and the solar systems as systems from those globes which were first formed into 2 days, and after and in another 4 days the matter was created, which was mixed together. And that mixing of resources, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I mix them together and I place the resources in each globe according to its requirement. Helium, hydrogen was placed in the sun according to its requirements, and some further materials are being made in certain other globes, certain other things were formed. They were mixed together, and then everything which was in the globe was mixed so that it formed into a matter, into a material, well mixed together, well compacted together. That was the matter of 4 days. And then further process of cooling off, it continued. So it took 10 billion years to shape it into a system, as a conglomeration of different systems. And I invite your attention to reconsider this ayat again. Physics investigates universe in the context of matter only. Here we have to be very careful that Quran is talking about matter. Matter is both physics and metaphysics. Matter is both. But Quran is talking about something even above that, which is not material, transcendent. Quran is talking of transcendence also. And here we mix up things sometimes. For example, we mix up ghaib with the transcendence. Ghaib is not transcendence. Ghaib is just that the material, the matter which we cannot see with our naked eye, which we cannot see with the 7 colors of the light, but it is ghaib for us. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is not ghaib, it is in continuum. Beyond these 7 colors, ultraviolet and infrared world where the matter exists, where the jinn exists, for example, this is all material. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is transcendent. We cannot explain God in terms of matter or material. He is transcendent. So Quran is talking about both the matter and the transcendent world, universe. In Quran term, heavens is used in connection with astrophysics. Astrophysics. Worlds as totality of systems of multiple dimensions, not only 3 dimensions. Isn't multiple dimensions where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I can create any number of dimensions. I can create any creatures with any dimensions, which means that I can create matter with any dimension. For example, atom is 3 dimensional, and we create substances 3 dimensional. But for example, now a new state of matter, besides the solid, liquid, fluid, plasma, besides these states of matter, a new state of matter has been created, that is atomtronics. Although atomtronics is not 2 dimensional, it is made of the 3 dimensional atoms, but it is so thin, but that it is just a sheet of atoms. It's not 2 dimensional, it is 3 dimensional. Now, at that level, one can try to understand that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can create jinn at the level of radiation, and radiation is the subparticle level, it is the vehicle level. So from that vehicle, from that subparticle, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the particle, and he brought them together to form an atom 3 dimensional. So with this basic material, that is subparticle, he can form different dimensions, different chains of dimensions. Like from amino acids, he has made so many chains of the human gen that it has come to the level of human genome. So these chains of subparticles, if they are formed in different ways, and Allah has all the power, He says that I can create any number of dimensions from my material, from the matter which I have created, besides the 4 commonly known dimensions to us. This is not the limit for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can create any number of dimensions. And it has been mentioned in Surah 35, Al-Fatir. Heavens are a special system. 10 billion years took It took 10 billion years to form the systems, and systems are special systems. They are in space. Every system is in a space. For example, there is the relationship of space between sun and moon. There's a space, distance. These are spatially arranged. Similarly, within the atom, everything is arranged spatially, orbit above the orbit. And it is not only in one plane, they are in different planes. For example, C6H6, carbon 6, hydrogen 6. Why they form different elements? It is not only benzene, it is not only gasoline. They make different substances, because the 6 atoms of carbon and 6 atoms of hydrogen, they are not only arranged in 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions linearly in a line, but they can be arranged in different spaces, like one above the other, one along the other, one below the other, one by the side of the other in space. Like a flower, it has petals which open in different directions. So they are spatially arranged. Systems are arranged spatially, and they create dimensions of bands. And Quran refers to these things, although they have difference in these meanings, but generally tebaka, taraik, fulk, fi fulken, yasmahun. So these taraik, these tebaka, these fulk, they have to be examined, understood at each place in the proper context. But there if we understand science, then we can have at least a direction, a clue, something that yes, it is referring to that thing. Where magnetic and gravitational forces, magnetic, in the beginning it was thought that electricity and magnetism are 2 different forces, but now they say electromagnetic force. So magnetic and gravitational forces. Now they say that gravitation is a form, or is composed of gravitons. Now for time also they say that time is not, time is also coronas. It is composed of coronas, and they flow. Coronas of flow. They flow. Coronas of time. Then gravitons of gravity. They also flow like electrons. Forces and law of physics and geometry hold. These laws of physics and geometry, laws of physics and trigonometry, laws of physics and algebra, laws of physics and mathematics. Mathematics, they work together. From mathematics, the physics is born. And from where mathematics is born, they say it is born from philosophy. And from where the philosophy is born, it has born from the shore of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what He intends. And He has, that is why, and it is explained in His Asma'ul Husna. And the Prophet says that you should try to adopt as near, as close as possible the Asma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The concept of paradise, Jannah, this is Dr. Noor Baki saying, the concept of Jannah has never been included within the system of heavens. He says that we don't see it being included. It is extraneous. Jannah. And the Quran says that Jannat is so big that it is from the earth to the heavens. You can look at the space, or the dimensions, or you can look at the distance and time between the earth and the heavens. It is so wide and spread that it is his view, Dr. Haluk Noor Baki's view, that it is outside these seven heavens. It is his view. This is just a view. It's another theory. It refers to a world of separate dimensions. That is why we find the concept of Hur. It is a creation of different dimensions in that different plane of existence. Hur means a creation of different dimensions, different state, different condition. And Hur is a plural, it is not a singular. Hur includes male and female both, Hora and Ahvar both. Hora and Ahvar, male and female, both together are called Hur. Hur is a plural. It's a creation of different dimensions, state, it is a different state, a different condition. This is the reference from his book, Holy Quran and Facts of Science, page 267. However, term heaven or heavens is also interpreted as sky, canopy, firmament, seven spaces. It depends where this word is used in the Quran, in which ayat, with what meaning. Everywhere, this word does not have the same meaning. It has to be seen in that context, depending upon context and relevant nuance. Big crunch, they say that it will collapse, the universe will collapse, but Quran says it will be wound up. Natvi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we will wind it up. Big crunch is an idea, not even a theory. It is just an idea that universe will stop expanding. If there is no motion, all matter will collapse. And if along with this motion, if it is not expanding, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we are expanding, lamusun. But if there is no expansion, universe will collapse. If there is no motion, it means there is no heat, it means there is no work, the universe will collapse. And if it is not expanding, the universe will collapse. So if it is not expanding, it will contract, so that eventually all matter and radiation will collapse at one point in an enormous collision called the Big Crunch. They say at one point of time, that is one saat, it will be so quick, Big Crunch. Examine this translation of the ayat with this explanation. The day that we, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that we will roll up, not we, the heavens, like a scroll rolled up for books. Even as we produce the first creation, it means when first time this universe was created, 15 billion years ago. At that time also, this process had taken place. And again, this will take place. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it is incumbent upon me that when I wind this up, I wind up this universe, I will again unfold it. I will again recreate it. Again, there will be a big bang. And the Hindus, in Hindu religion, they have calculated the time. They call it kalpa. And they say that it is, I think, 1.1 kalpa or 11 kalpa this time. It is trillions of years. That it happens in trillions of years. For example, we say that the flip of the earth takes place every 80,000 years or every 10,000 years. Flip of the sun takes place every so many days or so many weeks or so many years. Everything has some change. Changes take place. The entire universe changes, collapses, and it unfolds, and it takes kalpa, it takes trillions of years. So we shall produce a new one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I'll again recreate a universe at that time. And he says that it is my promise, it is incumbent upon me, wada, that it will be undertaken, this will be done. Some scientists even think that after Big Crunch, there might be another Big Bang. This is Quran says that after this big crunch, there will be again a big bang. And science sometimes some scientists also believe that after the big crunch, there will be a big bang. But that will be in terms of time in terms of kalpa, or in time in terms of trillions of years. Again, examine this another ayat. Now, Catholic Church accepted this Vatican accepted Big Bang model in 1951. Right or wrong, but at least they made an effort. They collected 5,000 scientists and religious scholars, the scholars of Bible. They discussed together and they accepted the Big Bang evolution and officially pronounced it to be in accord with the Bible. But we reject it on the basis of assumption. Solo. Examine some more translations of verse this. Another translation. This is by Arthur J. Arbery. In my view, this is my personal view, the translation of Arthur J. Arbery is the classic translation, is the classic piece of literature in English, which is the translation of Quran, which he has translated. In my view, this is classic. But unfortunately, this man did not become Muslim. He translated it, but he did not become a Muslim. And this, his translation, like Yusuf, he has arranged the ayat in groups, and then he has translated them in phrases. He has translated the phrases also, not just one word. For example, kata yadan, we have translated each word separately. That Zulaikha, in the story of Zulaikha, kata yadan, when we translate word separately, we say that they cut their hand. But it is a phrase also. Kata yadan, they took their hands off. They said, no, 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 we are not with you in this sinful project of yours, this sinful program of yours. We don't participate in this. Hashadullah. He's an angel. We are not with you. Kata yadan. They separated themselves. They said, we take our hands off. So he has very nicely found the phrases, and then he has grouped the entire Quran in one piece. This is in continuity. He has not separated it, but like Yusuf, he has translated with phrases and in the groups also, ayat in groups also. If I can say it in tartil, he has translated ayat with tartil and the phrases also in tartil, in the context, in the phrase, in the sentence, in the ayat, that the heavens and earth were mass all sewn up. This is the word which Dr. Noor Baki uses. But Arthur J. Arbery is old. His translation is this professor's translation is older. So he used the word at that time. And now the theory of Big Bang shows that it was sewn up. It is peeled off. And this word meaning is available in the root. Ratak. It is sewn up. I have shown that meaning. And then we unstitched. He uses the word unstitched. And now this unstitched word is also used by Dr. Noor Baki. But this word, meaning of this word, meaning of these both these words is available in the root. That is why I always emphasize that don't go for translation by translation, but kindly go into the root. That is very essential. And then into the lisan, not only lugat, go into the lisan of the Quran, lisan. And then there's another translation by Darul Shura, and they also they use different terminology. This is another translation by Ahmad Ali. He uses different translation. And then there are so many other, but I prefer, as I said, in my humble view, I preferred, that is why I had quoted it from him in my book, Know Your God. And I have given all these in the Know Your God. It's not just one opinion. I have, but when I present, because of limited time, I may refer to one. Now look at this. We report today, NASA reports, this NASA says, we report today the most precise measurements of our infant universe, said Charles, principal investigator at NASA, spacecraft. He says, we have new evidence at that time when he gave the report. My book is 25 years old, so it's 25 years back. We have new evidence that the universe suddenly grew from submicroscopic level to the astronomical level in less than the blink of an eye, sa'at, less than the attosecond. This is what NASA says. This fatak took place in less than attosecond. Then another statement, microwave, he's referring to microwave. This WMAP, it means Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe. So I will not go into those details. Detected light created in the early universe. Now the light which was created 15 billion years ago a glimpse has been captured. That has been traveling across the universe for more than 13 billion years. This is the reference. In above verse, word khalaq has been used. Now, this word has been examined by Dr. Bukai, by Dr. Harun Yahya, by Noor Baki, by so many others in scientific terms. Not like our mullahs, but scientifically, that it refers to the evolution also. With mathematics, science of physics came into existence. With mathematics, science of physics came into existence. After that, the chemistry. We'll find any physical chemistry. We'll find biochemistry. Then we'll find biology and so many things coming in series. All the mathematics and physics came first. This is another translation. This is, I think, from Yusuf. Christian theologians call this word kalma, but we call it amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, command. He says kun, he gives amr, says kun to his amr, to his affair, to his matter, whatever he intends, and that creates kun for yakun, that it starts becoming, it becomes. Yakun is muzara. All other sciences also came into play after mathematics, physics in sequence to satisfy unfolding and emerging needs of universe, one developing itself and extending into the other, chemistry, biology, I've already mentioned. I think I would like to stop here because this will take us into another realm, but I think I will just complete this word, reference to the word khalaq. Now, Aristotle believed that the matter had always existed. It was eternal, according to him. But scripture extends different explanations. That it was created by God. And he has subjected everything which he has created to the human being, musakhar. Abdul Wadud, in his book, the Quran, the phenomena of nature in the Quran, in his book, in the beginning, he says, he gives this explanation. The underlying idea is that the divine intentions, shar, and dimensions are in fact an integral part of Allah's process of creation. Yakun is a process, is muzara. It continues. Is a process of creation. The Holy Quran has used two different words for creation. They rather indicate the two different stages of creation. One is Amr, the other is Khalq. Khalq is evolution. Khalq means to create a thing from the matter, from the material, from the object which is already existing, along with its existing constituents. This is where an object appears in its manifest form, shay. The sha becomes shay. Shay is a physical thing. But prior to this is a stage where the object is still in the process of becoming, and that is alam al-amr. Shah Waliullah also calls it alam al-amr, but he goes further and he uses another word, alam al-amsal. He says that here we are just the reflection of something original which is working somewhere else. We are just the film. We are just the reflection. We are just the video which is being played here. That is his view, Shah Waliullah. He's a great scholar. I think he is the who brought modernity to the thinking in Islam. Shah Waliullah. Alam al-Amr. English word evolution has been used in context of one of the functions of Rububiyyat. Word evolution is very limited. It has a limited meaning in English. It cannot translate a whole meaning of the Arabic word of Quran, but it is some part of Rububiyyat. Evolution is part of Rububiyyat. This does not in fact convey the real idea of the Quran, but we are using this word as the closest word, not the entire word. This represents just one aspect of the Arabic word falah. Now he is relating this entire process of evolution to falah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, all the khair is from me. I have created everything with khair for your falah. Entire universe, everything in the universe is evolving for the falah, for khair, for the entire universe, for entire creation, for entire environment, for all the environments, for all the habitats, for all the life, for all the animals, for all the plants, for all the human beings. And we have a call 5 times a day. Hayya al falah, hayya al falah, hayya al falah, which has a wider concept of unfolding the latent faculties of man. When we refer to man, what is the meaning of falah? As part of evolution. These are all linked together. Now, Rububiyyat is for evolution, and evolution is falah based on khair, because in the theory of evolution, when we are talking of changes taking place, which is not useful is rejected. Only the best is accepted. Survival of the fittest. Mutation, which is generally not falah, is rejected. Only the falah is accepted. So from Rububiyyat, evolution, evolution is part of Rububiyyat, and it is based on falah. And falah, what is falah? Falah is ultimately, when we are talking about the human being, unfolding the latent features of man when he was given consciousness, the emotional consciousness, the emotional intelligence. This ultimately brought to and from there, then he was left with the last message of Quran, with the last prophet, he was left with this message to further probe into it, tafakkur, tadabbur, taakul, tazakkur, because he has been given sadr. And sadr, it can work with qalb, and the qalb can work with fuad, and fuad can work with basar and sama. All these things are linked together. It is a bouquet stitched together. The process of falah, of which evolution is just one aspect, gradually prepared the scene in the heavens and the earth where man was instituted so that his innate faculties were developed to the fullest. I have taken this entire piece as it is from my book because I cannot reconstruct it again. When I was writing the book, perhaps I could reconstruct, but now I cannot reconstruct it again. Next verse refers to the making of the constellations, which took 10 billion years, sun and moon in the heavens, and so on and on. I think I stop here, and Allah willing, after Ramadan, if Allah wills, we will start from here. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzat amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى أنوار العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وفضلك عن من سواك. اللهم بفضلك ورحمتك أعلى كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وعز المسلمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. We have our son Ma'raj, our daughter Aisha Wani, our brother Akram. Oh Allah, grant all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them, and make them righteous. Oh Allah, we seek from you all of the good, whether we know it or we don't. And we seek your refuge from all evil, whether we know it or we don't. Oh Allah, we ask you every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, adada khalqih wa rida nafsih wa zinat arshih wa midada kalimatih. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, adada khalqih wa rida nafsih wa zinat arshih wa midada kalimatih. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, adada khalqih wa rida nafsih wa zinat arshih wa midada kalimatih. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.